So today's Thursday, which means we got a brand new TWAB that occurred, that dropped in. We got a little hint yesterday from DMG that this was going to be massive, and holy shit, this is massive in positively, probably the most positive way. So we're going to be going over a lot of stuff. We're going to be focusing on how the changes work. We'll give you an example of understanding what's going on. We're not going to go full-fledged in every little thing that's going on here, because this is probably one of the biggest TWABs ever. But we're going to be focusing on talking about abilities, the PvP sandbox, including the separation with PvP and PvE sandboxes, and just kind of give an example and tell you guys how things are working or will be working in the future. So with that being said, let's talk about the massive theme of this TWAB or this video, refocusing PvP around gunplay instead of ability play. So again, hunters with their abilities are pretty dominant. You know, I'm a Titan main and my shoulder charge can be very annoying and I can get it pretty frequently. These are things that Bungie wants to shy away from, and they confirm that they have done back-end changes to ensure that they can focus in on PvP and PvE having separate sandboxes. So a lot of the stuff we have been seeing in here kind of reinforces that, and it is a massive thing we have been calling for and asking for forever. And even though it's 7 years later, we got it, guys, and I'm excited for some of these changes. So first off, this is where Lord Shaxx is gonna cry. Grenades. There's some changes to, say, examples of these grenades, but again, he's probably crying at this change because we can't be throwing these grenades as much or as lethal as before. But again, these are examples of two things that Bungie wanted to break down specifically, and it's honestly, it's one shot versus not one shot. So if it's one shot, it has a massive, capability of kind of deterring people from gunplay. So cooldowns need to be different, need to be harder, and before this, everything was common amongst all cooldowns. So grenades all had the same cooldowns, melee abilities all really had the same base cooldown. We'll get over explaining base cooldown a little bit later, but in terms of just understanding the effectiveness of these grenades, let's say, or abilities, they have worked in some changes to deter powerful ones from being only selected and non-powerful ones being an option you can have as a quick solution. So again, a lot of stuff, but yeah. So let's talk about the change for focusing things on individual abilities and individual cooldowns versus select things. So now, for example, the Flux Grenade, which does have a PvP one-shot ability, the base cooldown has went from 82 seconds to 182 seconds. That is a massive nerf, I guess you could say, or a massive, cooldown increase. Now this is the base damage, so you could reduce this a bit or increase it, depends on what you select, but again, we'll get into that later. Now attach damage increase, so basically this causes for it to have the one-shot kill ability, but to counter that, it has removed a projectile tracking, and at the same time, aim assist has been altered. There is also increased PvE damage, so it is effective in PvE, and it sticks to all surfaces. So this here, we see a good spectrum of PvP and PvE sandboxes getting some adjusting, which is a good sign. Now, let's go over to the Firebolt Grenade. Reduced base cooldown from 82 seconds to 46 seconds. Now, this isn't going to be as lethal as the Flux Grenade, but again, their cooldown on base is lower, which may lead to people using it depending on how they set their builds and their rolls. It's a good change on the leads. Now, they reduced the damage for Perp Bolt from 90 to 65, and PvE damage has been increased by 15%. Now, this has no one-shot ability, but comes back much faster, which may be something that people want. Now, again, if you are looking for a powerful ability, it's going to be a bit on the longer side to get, and using it is going to be having to select your certain moments. Now, if you guys want something you can continuously spam and help you in the gunfights, not win the gunfights, but help you in the gunfights, some of these lower cooldown abilities or grenades could be a better option. So let's talk about the base cooldown and understanding the stat rolls of Destiny. So let's talk about base cooldown. What is base cooldown specifically? How do I understand it with my builds and my rolls? Well, you look here on screen on the right hand side. Currently in Destiny, we have stats, and these stats basically gauge how quick you get supers and things like that. Now, all this is currently going to be readjusted to fit what's going on here, but this is what we're always been working with and what we will be working with in the future. Now, we look here on screen, the picture they showcased, we see that base cooldown is tier 3. Anything lower than tier 3 will increase that cooldown. So it can be from 130 right now, you see on screen, but if you increase the cooldown, that means you lower to tier 2 or tier 1. That means that time is going to be above 130, meaning you'll get that said thing back later. Now, if you increase your stats in that regard, you will basically, anything higher will reduce your cooldown. As we see here, tier 3 is 130, tier 4 is 115. I am going to assume tier 5 is 1 minute, and I don't know after that, but again, it's a good gauge. Now, how will this work into balancing out your loadouts? Well, honestly guys, I like this a lot because maybe I don't like a grenade because I want it back more frequently to help aid in, you know, maybe clearing out a little site real quick, doing some damage, and then helping with my gunfight rather than winning that gunfight. So maybe I don't want one-shot abilities. Well, there you go. This will adjust for me to use different things to help aid in that category, and I like it a lot. This is a very well needed change, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it fully fleshes out. Now, there is mentioning that when this does go live, that the timers or the display of base cooldown and cooldowns aren't going to be exactly working because there is a bug, but in a later fix there will be an update that will address this issue. So there's that. Now, one thing to mention and kind of the final note to all of this, and just showing how Bungie is readjusting a lot of things in PvP compared to PvE, we look here on adjustments to supers. There is a lot of things going on. So we look here, there is a graph or a tier system showing the fastest regeneration of a super and the slowest regeneration of the super. So if you guys look here, on my personal Titan Arc Thunder Crash main, my super is tier 3, which means it's not going to be super fast to regen, but definitely faster than compared to Fist of Havoc. Now, Fist of Havoc is tier 1, slowest regeneration, and they said here the goal is for everybody to at least get their super at least once in a given match. But at the same time, they don't want supers being spammed, and they should be less frequent in 3v3 modes compared to how they are now. So that is a very well, you know, good change. But just because they're slowing down super regeneration time doesn't mean that, you know, you can't earn it faster or get it back. So again, primary weapon play should have a noticeable benefit in super energy, and basically with this new system, they're going to be increasing the gains you get from primary weapon damage to return your super. So again, that is good in that regard. But again, there's a lot of changes, and this is kind of a grasp and understanding how the new system is going to be working down. Now, every single thing is going to be adjusted. Like, you know, there is no longer going to be a one-hit shoulder charge, which should be interesting. But that is kind of a whole nother topic, and I really just want to break down the new system that really is the highlight of this update. They're going to be breaking it down, changing things to new things, and I like this a lot. You know, different abilities, different traits should have different cooldowns based on their power, instead of keeping everything similar and then, again, basing on, you know, nerfing it right then and there. Just have it being longer to get. If you guys want to have some of the best supers, like, make sure Hammer of Soul, you get it, you know, quick, reduced time. Like, I do like how they're adjusting things, and some of these things may be a nerf to my mains, but at the same time, I'm all for it, guys. I love the gunplay of Destiny, and I do want to see a little bit more gunplay focused stuff, and this gives me an optimistic hope that we will see more of that, since there is a separation now between the PvP sandbox and the PvE sandbox. So with that being said, guys, if you guys have any other questions down below about other things regarding this, definitely drop them down below. I can have a conversation with you guys, and we can answer any questions you do have. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, and this is only the scratch of the surface of some of what the TWAB has below. We might go in a video talking about some other stuff, getting to details of how I think this will work out, but it's not going to be informative in terms of breaking it down. I think the most important aspect is the ability changes in terms of stats and cooldowns and tier systems and understanding all that stuff. That's the stuff that you're going to be, you know, getting with the most. So again, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely drop this video a like. Helps out the video a lot. If you guys are new here, want more content from me, whether it's Destiny 2 or any of the game I cover in the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. With that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.